Hey guys, Tower Climber here, and this will be another explanation video on Shinsu manipulation. Last video that I did was Shinsu by itself, the basics, the control, how to get the contracts, and everything like that. This video will be focused on the manipulation and certain functions of that Shinsu that I failed to cover last part. So it'll be like a part 2 to the Shinsu video, because I don't want to make it so long. First, Shinsu manipulation is an advanced form of Shinsu control. It is basically like extending what Shinsu control is. Shinsu control, like I explained before, was mostly focused on the bongs, the immediate power around you, turning it into a very condensed form of fighting, normally used in bongs, multiple, obviously. It's very specific. But this, I'm going to be talking more about like how you use Shinsu to manipulate your environment and the overall flow of it that can affect battle. So first, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is there are two methods of manipulating Shinsu, like two natural flows. There is flow control and reverse flow control. So overall, let me explain what flow control is first. Although there's not like a set, like this is the way Shinsu is going to flow and all around, right? It's not like it's not as simple as that. Just like how air in our world works, where you can just be like, oh, the air will always go north. The air will always go this way, this way, and this way. That's the same thing with Shinsu. There's not a specific path that it's going to take. But if a very skilled individual, most likely a wave controller, but also like rankers can see this, and many other types of talented individuals in the tower know about this, there are many patterns of Shinsu that you're able to use to manipulate and just control Shinsu in a certain area. One example of this, a basic, like not a basic because it's used by one of the most powerful characters in the story, but a way you could use this is that Yurik Mazino used it to basically just flick his finger and create a ginormous tornado all around Heljo's attack. That is a way of using Shinsu control. And also basically every single attack, mostly almost every single attack that is used in the series that's like an offensive attack, like Yama's Blast, any beam you see in the story that's like not technically considered a bang would technically be a method of Shinsu manipulation, of flow control, because you're using the flow of the Shinsu and using it to attack with using Blast. Another way that's very seen by a lot of rankers is levitation, to fly. One of the best examples of this is Doan. She's always flying. Basically, she's a master wave controller, and she's like never not off the ground. It's very rare to see her off the ground. If I remember, we've only seen that once in the whole series when she's talking to Robodon. I could be wrong about that, but that's mostly the gist. You can also use the flow of other people to control their own power. Like if somebody's using a bong against you, you can use it and redirect it and basically just control the flow. You've also seen this, just people using their own Shinsu to change their course of the Shinsu. So like a basic example of this was when Bomb was in the cat tower, playing the game versus the insects that were jumping around everywhere. He created a Shinsu bow, and then he threw the bow, but the bow was not going to hit the creature. So he did this and changed the trajectory of the arrow to be able to hit it. That's a basic example of Shinsu flow control. Mostly every single person uses it in some way, shape, or fashion. At least people that use Shinsu in ways like that, like wave controllers and stuff like that, use Shinsu in this manner. So it's very not rare. You see it a lot during the series, and so we have a lot of examples to pull from. Now, let's to give you the extreme of Shinsu flow control. Let me give you the most extreme of Shinsu flow control that's not by an administrator, because administrators have complete dominance and control over all Shinsu on a floor, right? So by a character that's not an administrator is Eureka Blossom. She is the most talented and powerful wave controller in the whole series. We have not yet seen her, but we know from her she's a family head of the Eureka family, and we know from her from the blog post of SIU, she is so talented that she's able to accelerate the Shinsu in a given area, and is basically able to kill, I think it was 99% of the entire population in a floor. That is insane. That basically just goes to show you how, obviously she probably can't do that without the administrator being angry. But since, as you said it is possible for it to happen. And that is insane. Basically, you're able to accelerate the Shinsu so proficiently that you just destroy everything around you. So yes, that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. This flow control. The flow control also, it not only involves the environment but also involves your own body. So like with body reinforcement that we talked about last video, very briefly, that fishermen use. Body reinforcements is used in a lot of ways, through the lightning pill, through many forms of changing your own Shinsu by enhancing it by enhancing your own body with Shinsu. So they're able to increase their physical durability, speed, power, all that kind of stuff. And you're also able to heal yourself. We have seen some examples of this with Anak in the second floor, and Kel Halam after he was hit with the ancient spear by Evankel. He started to heal himself, but obviously Jamma was like, I'm not gonna let you be like that, and I'm just gonna attack you. So that is basically what the main gist of it that I wanted to say. You cannot, so basically, and that kind of goes to like the whole body thing. That kind of goes to the thing I said about Eureka Blossom, where she like accelerated all the Shinsu. The way that I'm assuming that she did this is accelerating the Shinsu. She could have done it differently. We haven't seen it. But the way that I imagine it, she accelerated the Shinsu outside, but it affected the Shinsu inside of people's body. And you can kind of just explode somebody's Shinsu like that internally, and then these explode, because it has been stated that without the flow of Shinsu, you're basically like a sack of water balloon. A popped water balloon just exploded, which is very gruesome, and I don't know if we're going to see that. Although there is an example of something, but it's not, I don't think it's that. I'm pretty sure this is just a Shinsu attack, of high density Shinsu bursting and being attacked. We have seen this with Tiara, where she was doing this, like popping everyone's heads around all over the place. That's not the same thing Eureka N was probably doing. Not Eureka N, that's the princess. Eureka Blossom was doing. And she manipulated all the Shinsu around everyone. Tiara was just attacking people with her own Shinsu attacks. And the second way of manipulating Shinsu is reverse flow control. And this, by a lot of people probably don't know, is actually a lot slower than flow control, because you're kind of doing the opposite. You're reversing somebody's Shinsu, or reversing the Shinsu in a given area. And so the Shinsu will not go forward, or where it's supposed to be going. It's going backward, so it's going slower. And so it makes, this is used for not only people, but also attacks. So we've seen Bomb use flow control to slow people down, also slow attacks. Like when he stopped the spell of Levy, Ever-Curious Levy, he was able to use Shinsu flow control to stop his spell from charging any further. And so there's many applications to it, but it is not a. You have to be careful because doing this, there could be a side effect of actually exploding the Shinsu in erupting the Shinsu of somebody's body by messing around with it that much. So we don't see this from a lot of people. The only people we have seen this from are really Bomb, from, and well, sorry, Elliot, the Muntari, and Jing Sanha. We probably have some other people that can use it. We just haven't seen them. But those are the only 3 people in the story that have confirmed to have been able to use it. And just from their power alone, you can tell how much of a devastating ability this is, and utilized by these people. It's very helpful, but it's not. But it's not very like destructive. It's not gonna destroy unless you're untrained with it. If you're trained with it, you're not destroying anything. You're just stopping it, basically freezing it in place. One of the basically another and a way to stop this is by being so much stronger than your opponent that you're basically not affected by it at all. Like let's say a regular Bomb went against Calavan, who is obviously a super high ranker. He tries to stop him. He can't stop him for that long. Maybe like a second, but that's not going to stop it for any longer than that. The same thing with Quant. Bomb was able to momentarily stop Quant, but he was able to stop him, but Quant was able to break free of it because he was so much stronger than Bomb. And so it's not really an ability that can be used universally, like, oh, Bomb is a regular and he can freeze like everyone in the tower because of this. No, it depends on how strong you are too. So that is something to take into consideration. But overall, for destructive capabilities, I wanted to emphasize that reverse flow control is not the destructive force. It is the stopping force, and flow control is the destructive force, the things you use for attacks. It's flow control is a lot more easier to destroy things, as I've illustrated. And now there's actually a third form where it's both at the same time, flow control and reverse flow control. And this is very interesting actually, because we know there's a distinction between it's not like you're using it in 2 bongs. Like you're with one hand, in my way to explain this, it's not one hand you're controlling flow control and the other hand you're stopping someone else. That's not what it means. It means with one hand, you're using both of them at the exact same time, flow control and reverse flow control. And what does this do, you may ask? Basically, the primary way we have seen this is through the butterfly piercing technique, the floor butterfly piercing technique, which is a piercing technique. I'll explain what that is in a second. Basically, what you do. Let me read this off so I don't butcher it. Once your body is in contact with your opponent, you forcefully reverse flow control the flow control in your opponent's body by accelerating the flow of Shinsu inside of your own body. So that's important. You basically, what you have to do is, we've seen this a lot, examples. Bomb will parry a blow, grab their hands, and basically reverse flow control. So they stop. And at the same time he's doing that, the exact same moment he's using the flow control of his own body, using that, and then attacking. This is all in one motion. Attacking them back by returning the flow control of their body to the opponents and basically rupturing their Shinsu. It's a very powerful attack, and it can seriously mess up a lot of people. It is very strong, and it basically even if somebody's weaker, it's going to hurt them. It's because it's a very powerful attack that's attacking the inside of your body while you're frozen by reverse flow control. So it's like 2 opposite reactions in your own body that's like ripping it apart. That's basically the point of it. Again, we have seen people block it, but there are people, like, the gaps in strength have to be very high. Like Bomb by the time of the last station was easily above rankers and his full power with the Black March and everything. We know this because Charlie has said that the floor butterfly piercing technique alongside with the power of the Black March, could have destroyed them. Two rankers at the same time. So we know that he is stronger than rankers by his attacks by far. And Bomb went even harder on Kalavan because he was enraged at the proposed death of Jin Sanha, and Kalavan just kind of stood there doing nothing. So that's kind of like the levels you even if Bomb is stronger than rankers, Kalavan was just so much higher than him that he was not able to do that much. So I wanted to actually speak about something that it's kind of confusing, and even the wiki doesn't make a mistake, but it's like doesn't know clearly what's the difference between the floor butterfly piercing technique and a normal piercing technique. And what I mean by that is that there's many other piercing techniques that are not the floor butterfly, like Jihad's airwave that he did, like the golden palm hand thing that he did against Bomb. That's the only example of we've seen somebody controlling reverse flow and flow control from a distance, because he actually did that, and he's able to do that from a distance. So that kind of shows you how skilled Jihad is, because not even Bomb to this current day has shown to be able to do that, unless with the Black March. That's he's able to do that with the Black March, but not by himself physically yet. And he's gotten a lot stronger since the fight with Data Jihad. So it just goes to show you how skilled he is. Basically, what I believe the difference between a piercing technique like either Jihad's or Karaka airwave or Bomb Zero is compared to the floor butterfly technique is the aspect of you having controlling of your own Shinsu body, of your own flow control inside your body, and then directing it. I don't actually think that any of the piercing techniques, aside from the floor butterfly piercing techniques, use your own bodies first to transfer the energy. What I think the other piercing techniques are doing is that you're using reverse flow control and flow control, but not sacrificing your own body and risking it, because that's a side effect that you could, if you mess this technique up, you can risk harming yourself, because obviously you're controlling the flow of your body. So I think piercing techniques by themselves are just meant to attack and not harm yourself, just harm the opponent straight up, like nothing else. But the downside of that is that they're weaker than the floor butterfly piercing technique, because the floor butterfly piercing technique has the added effect of controlling your body and transferring all that force into the opponent to create a massive amount of damage. That is from the evidence that we have seen of all the piercing techniques compared to the floor butterfly. That is what I believe is the difference, because we have seen a massive amount of energy every single time somebody uses a floor butterfly or the tiger dragon gate or something. They're always manipulating the Shinsu of their bodies and then attacking the opponent. But when we see airwaves or piercing techniques from Karaka, from Bomb, from like the zero airwave that he does, or Jihad's, they don't seem to be like exuding their enhancing their own bodies and then attacking. It just seems like an attack that just goes out very fast, very strictly just there, and it doesn't seem to be that much of a damage. The same thing with Lust, like he kind of just threw it out against Yorick. He kind of just like boom, and then it just hit Yorick and pushed him back. It didn't seem like it was like affecting. Obviously, they're both techniques, piercing techniques, and floor butterfly piercing technique use both reverse flow control and flow control. I'm not saying that they both use them, but they use them in very different ways. And I think that is the difference. I could be wrong, but from the evidence that I've seen, and I'll show the pictures up on screen, I believe that this is a solid theory of what the difference is between these. Okay, and something that I showed in the last video but didn't really explain was the Shinsu qualities of a person. So every person has a Shinsu quality that it's very difficult to find, but not Jihad. This thing was actually during the Hidden Floor made a device to recognize Shinsu by tapping it, and you can know your not only your element that you would have to use with Shinsu, but also like the shape of the Shinsu. Like Rax was a shield made of stone. That means Rack can use stone, but also is better to use for defense. And same thing with Kun. The Kun was an ice, but it was also a spear. So it made it so like emphasizing that Kun can use ice, but in a mostly spear focused way. And so when you find your own quality, it actually enhances your Shinsu. That's something that we have seen many times from Edwon, from actually a very good example is Kun. Kun, when he was just using base Shinsu, he can just create a little tiny bong in the palm of his hands, and he really didn't have that much of a control over it. It was very minuscule, and Hansung even said that for Trengren family members, that's very weird. But when Kun got over his hurdle and was actually able to use ice, the ice went everywhere. It expanded so much more than just what a regular bong would be able to create. So in my opinion, that is what created that much ice. Because of the Shinsu quality, because he was using that ice, it actually expanded his Shinsu so much more and made him stronger as a result. So that is basically my take on that, but it's also evidenced from the series that I'm going to show. The last thing I'm going to mention about Shinsu quality is that there's two ways of using a Shinsu quality, or just Shinsu in general. There's basically Shinsu outside of your own body and inside of your own body, internal quality Shinsu control, and outside quality Shinsu control. Basically just meaning you're using it outside or using it inside. I'll show this with the basic examples. Is example that we actually saw in the series with Jihad. Jihad is able to use Shinsu outside of his body very clearly, and he was able to suck in the black hole sphere inside of his body to amplify his power. He's done this a lot, and I'll show the pictures on the screen for all the things to show you what I mean by that. He just puts the power in his body and kind of explodes it out. So that is basically what I wanted to explain. I'll probably I'll make videos about the in respective Shinsu qualities and things. Those will probably be shorter videos than this, obviously. But overall, that is what I wanted to explain. The only other thing that I wanted to explain is that there's one way to use a reverse flow control without without actually having like the whole like, oh, you touch someone and you control their Shinsu, without a wave controller type of Shinsu reverse flow control. And that is actually through the use of a lighthouse. They're able to use reverse flow control because of their lighthouse. It's called lighthouse reverse flow control, and you can just or lighthouse flow control, and you can put a lighthouse around and stop an opponent. We've seen this so many times in the series. It won't be difficult to find pictures and show you guys what I mean by that. So that is overall everything that I wanted to mention. I should have mentioned that part in the flow, the reverse flow control part, but that's here besides the point. So hope you guys enjoy it. I will be making more explanation videos and versus battle videos. My next versus battle video will be Lero versus Ren, and I'm very excited about that because I am going to bring some information that I don't know if a lot of people know relatively to all of these characters. So I'm going to enjoy making that one, and hope you guys enjoy my videos. And I'm always going to be here to explain what has been explained and to give you guys my opinion if something has not been clearly explained. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and peace.